guys, welcome back. Too many projects, not enough time. Andrew here in the shop, and an Ivy. So we're tackling the front end, the fenders, and the grill or breakfast, or whichever part of the world you want to call that. Now, yes, a lot of questions, or at least a bunch of questions in the comments of the last video. We kind of basically started off by starting to make adjustments on how we make bucks and how we bend all the aluminum over to make it to the new dimensions that we want, and the explanation of the parts that we're using from the Fender Series 2/3 tops, Defender inners, and Series 2 fronts, and all that sort of good stuff. Now yes, the Series 1 is skinnier because it hasn't got the hips of the Series 2, 3, Defender, etc. So how are we tackling that, you ask? And a few of you have asked. So basically, using the technique in the previous video of making a buck, bending stuff over to make it smaller, shorter, dimensionally going to work, is how we're going to do that. So I guess explaining the bigger picture here, basically, here's this Fender top. So we've got to basically lose, I think it's 1 3/4 inches out of the top here. So what I'm doing is basically, how do you eat an elephant? One bite, one mouthful at a time, one bite at a time. So that's what I'm doing with all this stuff. So far we've made the back end of the fenders up to the correct height, so now they can kind of roughly fit on. I've also, in the meantime, this week, off camera, because sometimes I'm just not in the mood to be on camera, I've actually shortened up the left and right fronts, removing about 3 3/4 inches off the bottom. That's off another one. That's off the other side, this one here. So basically, remove that, recreating the same finish on the bottom. So not only on the fender sides too, I will also need to make a buck to shorten this up to match the fronts. Now it's really as simple as make a wooden buck to fit the shape you need. 2 wooden bucks, I guess, inner and an outer, to clamp it so you can bend the edge over. It's really that easy. Now so far we've basically done nice flat straight bucks. Now we start getting into curved and bent bucks, and in some cases, like the fenders sides, the outers, we'll possibly need to make a left and a right. Now I'll walk you through on how to do them as well. And the same as the fender tops, because of the curvature here, basically we're going to clean away this bracket, trim back this support in here, and eventually need to trim back this support because it's not really needed for the Defender setup, but it does provide a little bit of rigidity to the fender top. So the next step in the fenders will be to remove that distance here, but leaving about 1 inch to bend over once we make the bucks up. And then we will be making all new brackets to mount the side panel here, step by step, one chew at a time, one mouthful at a time, like eating an elephant. And just taking measurements and seeing how it goes. Then as for this angle here, so once I bend this back to here, I'm just going to leave this as it is until I get the fenders completely mounted in place where I need them with the grill, breakfast, whatever you want to call it, and all the front end dimensionally, the outside dimensions all dimensionally in place. And then when I put the hood on, the hood will lay on here, and then when I do that, I will basically just run a marker up the fender outer so I know where the hood lays, and then go in X dimension and once again bend it over to get rigidity in that edge. So basically it's like figuring out what's next in the whole system. Cut, bend and shape. So throw the video, and we're just going to keep doing a bunch of this on a few different videos. Some of the stuff I'll do off camera, some I'll do on camera to show you how I do it. Basically modifying all this stuff to the width of a Series 1 versus a Series 2. Now if you're doing a Series 2, 2A3 with the Defender outer, you simply just need to replace your outer fender with the inner fender. It's fairly simple with very minimal other stuff to do, because you've got the hips on a 2-3 Series 2 and 3 and a Defender, so it all kind of works for that. So Series 2 and 3, you can just get a Defender outer and an inner and switch them over and trim up the tops of these and bend them over to make your Series 2-3 into like a Defender finish on the inside, giving you more room around the engine if that's the way you want to go. There may be a couple other little brackets, but really minimal stuff for doing that. But Series 1, much narrower. Yes, some of the comments are like, how are you doing that? Well, this is how we're doing that. So, I like bodywork. I left school and did my auto body apprenticeship, so I like bodywork. And it's really, I don't know, I find it really easy. Just make a buck. Most of the times they're just simple flat pieces of wood and bend it over. Do a test first before you bend something over that's going to crack before bend. Which again, for this top, I will do a test on a piece to see how that's going to bend, and if I need to anneal it and soften it before I bend it over. But that's it. Now I'm not going to mess with this outer edge that rolls over and bolts to the outer fender or anything like that. That's just way too much work. It's just so much easier to take it off. Take it off the inside, bend it over, build a new support bracket, and bam, we're done. So that's what we're doing. Okay, so to figure out the buck shape we need for here, the first fender we're working on is the left hand side. I'm not going to even do driver's side, passenger side, because left and right, UK, Australia, North America, whatever, Europe. So the left hand fender is the one that I'm first of all working on. Is my experimental side, and then for me driver's side, the right hand side is the second one that I'm doing, but I'm doing both at the same time. Now, so to figure out this angle, this is the right hand side one, this is to figure out this sweep here, so we can cut a buck to this same sweep to bend everything around. What design? First you need some cardboard from a Amazon box I opened earlier, and it's going to be way too long, so we're just going to cut that in half. We don't really need anything longer than that. Nice factory edge. Line that up with the front edge. Line the cardboard up with the flat line, like that. There we go. Alright, get those bucks made up. Basically, after a little trimming and fitting, we have the curve on the end and the back angle, which goes under the lip of the fender. So basically, there we go. That is how that fits. Now, inside the fender here, you can see this cross brace. They're in all of them. I presume they're all in the same position. And so I've made those cut reliefs to fit over that. And we've trimmed off the edge to give us a 1 inch area to bend over. Now through this curved area right here, it's not too curved. So as we bend it over, we will be doing, there will be some shrinkage going on through here. So hopefully that works with no big drama. And as you can see on this one, it's not a bad idea that we're making it skinnier, because we get to eliminate this junky area. And the bracket that was in here, which was all bent up and crapped, it's gone too. So we've actually eliminated, and we'll be eliminating, a lot of chunky areas on the fender, which is good. Brings us back to a nice clean fender. I've cleaned out where the black underspray gunk is on this, so we've got a nice flat clean surface. And the next step, I guess, is to fit the buck up, shut the buck up, and bend it over. Now I know that right on this edge of the cut is where I need to be at this end, and the other end I know I need to be right on the edge of this back rivet line. So okay guys, so I abruptly cut the video short there, halfway through bending the edge over in this, and I skipped an important step that I'd harped on earlier on. Check to see if it will need annealing. And right where the video ended off, right on this back edge here, which it's disappeared now, I noticed some tiny little cracks starting, and I was like, oh, I forgot to check. So anyway, off camera, I annealed the panel and it bent over beautifully. But I'm going to do the other side and show you how I annealed it. Always good to check. I was just so quick, get on with video on this, that I missed that step and it almost bit me in the butt. Alright, I'll show you how to anneal. Okay, so to anneal the metal, you're going to need oxyacetylene torch, and for aluminum, a little different than steel, but aluminum, we want to heat it up to a certain temperature and then cool it down quickly. Now what I'm going to do to cool it down quickly is a bottle of water. I'm just going to spray liberally and quickly to cool it down. Now how do we know when aluminum gets to the right temperature to cool it down to anneal it and make it softer? Well, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. One I've seen and used many years ago was a little bit of dish soap. Smear some dish soap, and then that kind of gets bubbly and burnt. That's a good way. But if you're using acetylene torch anyway, what you can use is just turn the acetylene on so it's blowing the black angels everywhere, and then coat the panel in black angels or soot, and then turn the oxygen on, and then heat the panel till that soot burns off. And at that point where the soot burns off is the right temperature that you need to quench it and cool it down quickly. So you'll see, we'll put the soot on, heat it up, and you'll watch that soot burn away, and that's the temperature we need. Now the soot is the perfect indicator for the right temperature, because you can't see aluminum get hot. Steel, you can see it get glow red and it turns non-magnetic and all that sort of stuff. Aluminum you can't. So the soot burning off is the perfect temperature to make the aluminum soft. Now to reverse that, which I've already done on the other panel, you merely soot it up again, heat it up again, but this time you let it cool down slowly, and then that will turn it back into a more a less soft aluminum structure. Let's get it done. Okay, so as you saw, the soot burnt off, we cooled it down quickly. Now this will be a lot softer to bend. Now, I think I've already shown setting up the plug, so let me set up the plug and then we'll bend it over. I'll show you me bending it over. No use seeing the plug set up again. We'll see you in a minute. Okay, and then this area here will shrink in quite a bit, which you'll see, and then we'll work this area right here where it's going to shrink to come around that corner. We'll work that pretty hard, and with it being a nail down, it should be a lot easier. Let's start with the block a little bit. Last check. That's right. I'm going to tell right away here that annealing makes this easier. The biggest shrinkage has got to happen right here, you can see. So we're just going to slowly work it back and forth, trying to shrink that aluminum into this spot here. Now it may slightly
buckle and double ups. That's okay. That's part of the best we can do shrinking process. So. And I think the most we can do with the rubber mallet. Now we go into the steel. Alright, that's the best we're going to do on the buck, and then when I get it off we'll put the steel flat block dolly behind it just to squish down these couple of little ridges a little more. It will never be as smooth as this, but it's been hidden behind the outer, oh no sorry, it's been hidden behind this inner flat panel section, so it doesn't really matter. And with any luck, like the last one, it's followed the buck exactly, which is what we need. Beautiful. Okay. Camera work, I'll tell you. You want to do this stuff on YouTube, you got to be a camera expert as well. Alright. Hold that there. I would say it's pretty damn good. Good enough for the girls we're dating. Alright, as we come to the end of another weekend, we have got a bunch of work done this weekend. There's still a lot more work to do on these fenders and stuff. So what we've achieved this weekend basically is the outers, we've shortened them at the back. We have also now shortened them at the front as well as the front panel. We have shortened the front panel up by 3 3/4 inches. I can't remember how many inches at the back, like 1 3/4 maybe shorter at the back. And then we've also, because the Series 1 doesn't have the hips like a Series 2, 3 and the Fender, the front fenders are narrower. So we've narrowed the front fenders up by 1 3/4 inches. We did the annealing. See, annealing's not that scary. It's as simple as I showed. Put a little soot down, heat it up till the soot burns off, make your bucks, bend your aluminum around the bucks, heat it up, let it cool down again. We're back to where we started from, but with the new shape in the panel. So we're going to go take this over and put it on the front of the truck in a minute. Now this section from the bulkhead, firewall, whatever you want to call it, up to where the grill is, I'm going to leave this a little oversized and chunky right now because I'm not exactly sure how far I'm going to bring this flat panel here. This is where the front of the grill is, so I'm not sure if I'm going to bring it all the way back here or end it further up here. If we bring it all the way back, it does kind of cut off this area, which isn't a big deal, but it also gives us somewhere else extra we can mount, like a cooler or a reservoir or something up here on the edge of that, and then the Defender inners. As for the Defender inners, now I guess there's a few different ways we can do all of this. We've had some suggestions from a few different people. The fender inners we're going to get to a little later on. I'm going to get the fenders all set in place first. The outers and the tops, this portion. So coming up, I need to set the grill or breakfast at the right height on the chassis, so the fenders all sit nice and flush to the bulkhead, which then is a ton of measuring, remeasuring, rejigging, everything to make sure that the bulkhead's straight up and down before we set that height, which I think I'm going to have it adjustable what the grill's going to sit on, so all that can be adjusted in time, but we've got to figure all that out. To figure all that out, we needed the fenders done. So this week, I may or may not, because I'm heading back up to the lake again, get this front section put on. And once we've got that put on, we can make that up to the grill. And then I can make the mount that the grill will sit on, or the breakfast, whatever you want to call it. So it's a step-by-step process. And once we've got these all sitting pretty exactly where we want them on the front of the truck, then I'll tackle finishing off the inners, which I've already started to trim up. Now, the way I'm doing it so far, plans can change, is I'm leaving the inners, the mounting point for the inners, where the inner and outer of the wing connect here to bolt up. If you have assembled a Fender, you'll understand for a Defender. So I'm leaving that the same, which means that because this is in 1 3/4 inches, the inners is now going to overhang the chassis rail by 1 3/4 inches. So once I have this all set in place, I can then introduce the inners, then deal with the bulkhead brackets on the chassis at the back, if you know what I mean. All the mounting points and dealing with the inners at that point. But for now, to get just the basics, again, follow along, like and subscribe. Let me get this on the front, we'll take a look. Alright guys, there we have it. We got the fenders temporarily on, hood temporarily on. Had a lot of work to do still to get all of this buttoned up and to a point where we can call it done. But huge step forwards. Also got to do the hood brackets, hinge brackets, you name it. There's tons of stuff to do. Anyway, thanks for coming along. If you have any questions, please ask any questions in the comments below. My email's also there, but in the comments below so we can share your questions and answers. I'm certainly no expert, but as I say, I did leave school and do my auto body apprenticeship. But as I say, I've probably forgotten way more than I remembered, except I enjoy doing this stuff. And we'll see you next time. See you guys.